The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
Quality, not quantity. That is this week's Best in the World with Richard Parr. It is a short podcast, but I've got to say the content in it is brilliant. I speak to the 2006 Olympic speed skating gold medalist from the Turin Games, Chad Hedrick. Unfortunately, his very busy schedule meant we could only have about 10-15 minutes, but what a great 10-15 minutes it was speaking to Chad. He certainly inspired me. I've tried to take on a couple of the things that he recommended. In fact, I'm trying to make the 10 phone calls every single day. It's pretty tough, I'll be honest. Haven't done very well. You'll hear about all of that as he describes what he does in his new life as a man working in real estate compared to what he did as an Olympic champion speed skater, and the differences that you have to make and the sacrifices you have to take to be the very best at what you do. He talks about not just being good, but being great at what you have to do to become an Olympic champion or the leader in your field. And that's exactly what he's trying to do in the world of real estate. Lots of great content from Chad on the program today. We talk about how he started in the world of skating. We talk about how he sets his goals. We talk about how he sets his day. And we talk about how he found religion on the podium. Yes, when he won his Olympic gold medal was when he had a realization of that life is more than winning. And that was when he really found God and became a Christian. So he talks about that and also his work with the Special Olympics. It's a really great podcast with Chad Hedrick, and we'll get to it very shortly. Just before we do, I want to tell you about Audible. Audible's one of the leading suppliers of audiobooks in the world. They've got over 180,000 titles to choose from. If you want to try out their service, you can do that for free by using this code. Just go to audibletrial.com/best. That's audibletrial.com/best. That gives you 30 days to check out their service for free. And that also includes a free audiobook download. So any book you've been tempted to listen to or read before, you can do it for absolutely nothing by going to audibletrial.com/best. Go and check them out. All right, it's time for my interview with the Olympic speed skating gold medalist. It's Chad Hedrick.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
Chad Hedrick, welcome to The Best in the World with Richard Parr, Olympic champion speed skater. Let's start from the beginning, Chad. How did you first get involved in skating in the first place?
Yeah, I grew up here outside of Houston, Texas, and my father, our family business was a roller rink, believe it or not, here in North Houston. And instead of hiring a babysitter, my parents kept me at the roller rink 6 to 8 hours a day, and I actually learned how to walk on a pair of skates at 16 months old. So it was second nature before I knew it.
Oh, fantastic. And when did you realize that you could make a career out of it? When did you realize that this is something you wanted to really take seriously rather than just be a little bit of fun?
Well, you know, I won my first national championship when I was 8 years old, and I knew I had a high level of talent then. Immediately, I knew my work ethic. I knew my passion for the sport was greater than most around me. And you know, as a kid, you just grow up and you just love doing something. So I never really thought about any long-term career with skating. But when I was 16 years old, I was approached by a guy who wanted to pay me to travel the world and actually sponsor me. And right then and there, at 16 years old, I became a professional skater. Since then, I've traveled to 41 different countries with a backpack and a pair of skates. And since 19 years old, you know, made a six-figure income. And you know, in the event that I loved, in the sport that I loved, it's just never felt like work to me. I grew up, and it was just part of my life, and I've been just so blessed in that way.
Well, there's lots to pick up on those points there, Chad. when you became professional and you were saying you always had that work ethic, what was a typical day like for you? What was a typical training day like? What did it involve?
Well, first of all, to become a champion, in my opinion, it's you have people that can accept losing, and you have people that refuse to lose. And I've seen many talented people all around me in many sports that really don't have that killer instinct, where they have a lot of talent, but when everything doesn't go their way, they fold. And it takes a really unique person who perseveres through those times in order to become a champion. And I think you see a lot of great athletes, but the athlete is complemented by what's inside your head. And that really distinguishes the difference between a really good athlete and somebody who sets themselves apart from the rest.
What was the toughest point in your career, Chad? What was the one moment where you perhaps had doubts, but you managed to pull through and become the amazing champion that you are?
I had always invested the time, and God gave me the talent to be able to be a champion. He's given me a considerable amount of talent, but also, more than anything, I was the guy that just refused to lose. And I can say honestly, growing up, that there were a lot of times where I could have given up, but fortunate enough for me, that one time that I really doubted myself was actually at the end of my career, and I'm thankful for that, because I was very confident and I was able to accomplish a lot of my goals. But towards the end of my career, I reached a point where I was over 30 years old, and I was competing against a 23-year-old kid who, had a lot more energy than me, and I went to the starting line for one time in my life, and I realized that I really don't have a chance to win, and that I'm actually competing for second place here today. And it was a strange event for me, because I'd always been on the other side of the fence. And for somebody to go who's used to feeling like that, and to really get just to feel those emotions going to the starting line, knowing that there was one guy that was automatically going to beat you. Number one, I lost mentally, but number two, it was just for somebody with the character and the fight that I had internally, and everything that I put into it to become the best. It was just a strange circumstance. So, it's just crazy how the mental side of sports affects so much. And I think it's not only in sports, but, I'm in the real estate business now. And if I don't wake up with a positive frame of mind, and I don't wake up ready to tackle what's in front of me and do things that other people don't do daily to succeed, then you're going to be mediocre at best.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
Stand by for more great knowledge with Chad Hedrick in just a moment. But I want to take this minute to remind you of the other podcast that I do, the other video cast that I do. It's called Sportacino. It's at sportacino.com. You can also watch it on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, and also download it on iTunes. It's basically a sports chat show where we broadcast every single weekday, talking all things related to sports, health, and fitness. We have guests from the world of sport, from the industry of sport, as well as influencers and bloggers and top sports journalists, all on the program every single weekday. Go and check it out, sportacino.com. Please go and like the Facebook page as well. So that is another sponsor of today's show, along with Audible, who are the leading supplier of audiobooks in the world. So go and check out Sportacino. All right, let's get back to the amazing conversation with the 2006 Olympic speed skating gold medalist. It's Chad Hedrick.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
How does your day start now then, Chad? Are you someone who sets goals for your day?
Of course, I'm in the real estate business here in a booming economy here in Houston with the oil and gas, and just a lot of things happening here in Houston, Texas. And I think the key to it all is being able to understand how I used my schedule and how I structured my training schedule to succeed in sports and transfer that over into the real world to provide a future for myself and my family professionally. And I start off each morning, for example, it's simple little things that a lot of people overlook, but I have a contact list of almost 1,000 people that I contact throughout the year. And each morning, my first thing that I do is I call 10 people. Every morning, I call 10 people and let them know what's going on, what the market's doing, how their family is, just to open up conversation that could be a lead to me selling another home. And it's those little things, that structure, that persistence, that is key to the difference between, I like to call, gold and silver. In sports, some of the events can be separated by 0.02 seconds. Well, in real business, it can be very similar. You can barely lose a business deal because you decided to wake up and call 8 people rather than 10.
Are these 10 people who are potential customers, or are these just 10 people that you know that you want to connect with?
These are 10 people that I've met at a happy hour event, 10 people that I've met in my road to the Olympics, 10 people that, it could be my dentist, it could be a guy who I run into at Starbucks, it could be anybody. Yesterday I gave a card to somebody at Starbucks, and you never know who you're running into. You just never know. It's always, your mind has to be thinking about the goal at hand all day, every day. And my wife hates that about me because sometimes it's hard to turn that switch off. But it's the difference between being good at something and being the best. I handed a card to somebody at Starbucks yesterday. Didn't think anything of it. She's now wanting me to show her $1 million home out here in Houston. I just got off the phone, and you know what? It's that persistence. It's always having, I try to hand 20 cards out a day. I try to make 10 phone calls a day. I try to have this structure where every day I wake up, I give my best, myself the best chance to cross that line first. And it's that attitude. If I lose that fire, if I lose that focus, I won't be able to succeed and accomplish my goals.
It sounds amazing and also exhausting. So I know you said your wife gets frustrated there. How do you switch off? Are you someone who has to almost schedule the time to switch off and say, phones off, emails off, conversations off, I'm just going to relax? And if you do something like that, what exactly do you do?
Well, I devote Sundays to my family. I don't work on Sundays. It's my family day. I go to church. I'm with my family. I'm spending quality time with them. But anybody who knows anything about real estate, I could be working Saturday night at 10 p.m. And, it's at the client's discretion of what you're doing. And you can't cut them off or you lose business. And, it's funny, last night on social media, on Instagram, my wife put a picture of, we were on date night last night, and she took a picture of us together at a bar having a cocktail. and I was on my phone, and she was making a face behind my back. And she's like, this guy just never turns it off, and she just gets worn out with, always talking about what I'm doing and being consumed. But you know what? It's the reason that I did what I did. It's the reason I had the success that I had. And, whatever you do, whatever you invest your time in this world, it has to come with some pride. It has to come with a dedication that's second to nothing. And I don't want to leave this world and think, what if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? I want to give it all, and I want to see what I can accomplish, because it ended in sports. We all get old, but man, there's so many new things to do, and I just want to continue to use what sports gave me, that mentality, to really succeed in other areas as well.
Now, you mentioned your religion on the program, and one of the questions I also very often ask my guests is how they felt when they received their gold medal. Now, I might be wrong here, but I read something along the lines of you turned to God, you turned to becoming a Christian when you won your Olympic gold medal in 2006. Is this right?
Yes, sir. Man, I'm standing up there with my hand on my heart, with a gold medal around my neck. I had sacrificed my whole life to win a gold medal. When I got up there, I thought that I was chasing fame and fortune. I wanted to be rich. I wanted people to know me. I wanted credibility. But you know what? I got up there on that podium in front of the whole world, and I felt empty. I felt empty because I knew deep down inside that I was a borderline alcoholic. I knew that I had friends that I only wanted something from. I knew I had no purpose in my life. I knew there was just nothing. It was all about me. Everything I'd ever done to that point was all about Chad. How can Chad get better? Who can give Chad something? I'm gonna beat this guy in a race. And I had so much pride because of how fast I could go on a pair of skates. And at the end of the day, man, I just wanted more. I wanted to live outside myself. I wanted friendships that were meaningful. I wanted a closer relationship with everybody in my family. Man, I wanted to help people around me. I'm now a big Special Olympics advocate. We've raised over $500,000 for Special Olympics. These kids are people that hit obstacles every morning they wake up. And I had everything. I had my own roller rink. I had the best equipment. I had a dad who could afford to take me all over the world to train. And you know what? These kids in Special Olympics, they get up and they have to jump over a hurdle every morning when they get out of bed. And it's just been so refreshing to know that this life isn't about me, man. It's not. I'm a fast speed skater, but you know what? I was just a kid who loved to skate.
Absolutely amazing. Chad, I know you've got to go. It's been short but sweet, but so much fantastic knowledge. It's the direction this conversation took a turn I wasn't expecting, but it was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I wish I could speak to you longer.
I just ask everybody to look themselves in the mirror and say, man, you know what? If I was gone tomorrow, what would people say about me? Because, when I won my gold medal, people would have said that I am greedy, that I'm stubborn, that I'm a bad friend, that everything is about me. There's other people in this world, and we've got to unite, man. We got to unite, and that's a vision that I think of every day. I asked my wife that 2 weeks ago. I said, "What are people going to think about me if I'm gone tomorrow?" Because it doesn't matter. We're human. We always fall short, man. We're flawed. We're imperfect. So I think that's what people should think about when they wake up.
Yeah, you get to write your own obituary, don't you? Chad Hedrick, it's been so good to talk to you. I know you like to connect with people. Just before you go, why don't you tell us how we can follow you on social media or online, or if we want to get in touch with you about some real estate?
Yeah, check me out. My new campaign is From Gold to Sold here in Houston. So on Instagram, you can go at From Gold to Sold, and then you can always check me out at Chad Hedrick. at the Chad Hedrick on Instagram. That's my main social media account that I use. So at the Chad Hedrick and at From Gold to Soul to check out Houston Real Estate.
We'll definitely do that. Really good to talk to you. Chad Hedrick, speed skating Olympic gold medalist. Thank you so much for being on The Best in the World.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, guys.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
Really good to speak to Chad. We haven't had too many guests from the world of winter sports on the programme, so it's good to get that perspective. We have spoken to Eve Muirhead, the curling world champion, before. We've also spoken to Gretchen Bleiler. She, of course, was a snowboarder and won the X Games. Both really good interviews. Go back and listen to them and the whole back catalogue at iTunes. You can find it at richardparr.net/iTunes. They're also all on Acast, acast.com/best. Go and check them out. We've also got other guests from different sports, such as rugby, such as David Campese, such as cliff diving, Gary Hunt, maybe netball, Laura Geitz. You want to go back and listen to that one? That's a pretty good interview as well. Lots of different things we cover every single week from the best athletes on the planet. Olympic champions, world record holders, and world number ones every single Wednesday. If you've got any questions you'd like me to ask any of these future champions, let me know. If there's any particular guests you'd like me to interview on the program, also let me know. And you can do that by sending me a tweet. I'm at Richard_Parr on Twitter. We've also got a Facebook page, Best in the World with Richard Parr. Pretty easy to find. All right. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will be back with you next Wednesday interviewing another sports star who is the best in the world.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.